The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. What do we got here? Why the outrage? Well, I ask myself all the time. Anyway, let's read this mail and see what we have going on. We're talking about Spider-Man again. Well, not really. So I promise, don't worry, I'm not doing the same video. It says, greeting Perch. So I will start off by saying I am not the biggest Spider-Man fan. My knowledge on the mythos is quite sparse, to be honest. The thing I've noticed is that Marvel is really taking active steps to back away from the Mary Jane and Peter Parker dynamic quite hard for some reason, but only in the comics. In every facet of the greater Spider-Man storytelling in games, movies, and pretty much everywhere else, Peter is with Mary Jane. Sure, in the MCU, they kind of did a one more day thing, but even there, the audience knows that in the next story arc of the movies, Peter will end up in Mary Jane. So I said in another video, and I agree, that's a really good point, and it's something, people should lock that in their minds, because it's absolutely true. Said, you made the point that audiences want a happy ending. And while I agree this is true, I just think with Spider-Man, they have leaned so hard into the Peter Parker-Mary Jane dynamic that they can not be separated. I know some of the more older fans may still be sore from Gwen Stacy's death. Most of them are dead. It served a valuable lesson for Peter overall. With the rumors of Mary Jane's quote-unquote death coming up, I have a hard time believing in the quality of storytelling of the current batch of Spider-Man writers to tell an impactful story to the scope of Gwen's death. If anything, I believe it will be one of those now cliche comic book deaths we see all too often. Personally, at this point, it's turned into an, oh, okay, take a break from that character, but when will they come back kind of thing. No, wait. Plus, it's Spider-Man. Who honestly believes Mary Jane is going to be another Gwen or Uncle Ben? Now, by the way, I'll pause here and say, there's a decent chance that Marvel is trolling everybody, and no, Mary Jane's not going to be dead, and, lost into time, or who knows what. There's a bunch of things they're going to do. I will say, there is zero, and I mean zero chance, and anyone who thinks otherwise, whether it's a fan, Zeb Wells, Nick Lowe, Tom Brevoort, whoever else, there's a zero chance that Marvel kills off Mary Jane and leaves her dead. Because of the movies, the games, and every other thing under the sun, it is absurd. And by the way, Gwen Stacy, yes, Peter learned a lesson, and it was an impactful moment for Peter Parker, and we're not in that kind of storytelling mode now. But the reality also is the Peter Parker-Gwen Stacy relationship, that amount of time that actually, had that, the two of them together, was shorter than the Dan Slott run in terms of comics. Much shorter, in fact. So it's while the Gwen Stacy impact was big on Peter's life, we have seen far more years of Peter Parker thinking about Gwen's death and reminiscing about, how he did let Gwen down, all that other shit. We've had far more years of that than of actually the Gwen Stacy relationship itself. Mary Jane has been very tied to Peter Parker, so it's apples to oranges. They're not the same thing. And to anyone other than a complete idiot of a writer, I'm not making any commentary. It is weird, by the way, to see people flip on Zeb Wells. Because I don't know if you remember, but Zeb Wells is the guy who did the Marauder. No, was it the Marauders book? No, hang on. What did Zeb Wells do twice? Why can I not remember this book now? He did Hellions. Is that it? Fuck. God, it's terrible. Anyway, it must have been Hellions. Anyway, he did an X book, and for a while, there are a lot of people, Wes and Thinking Critical, others who are like, this is the best X book by far. Zeb Wells is the only writer who knows what he's doing. Zeb Wells is the X-Men writer that is good. Lots of video channels said this and reviewed it. So go remind them a little bit this, when they do the videos like, Zeb Wells, fucking Spider-Man. Remember, like, hey, this was a guy 2 years ago you said was the absolute best writer in the entire X-Men lineup. I'm just pointing that out. It is crazy. This is the thing about comics. It's amazing what can change. Yes, it was Hellions. Of course, it was Hellions. So anyway, again, I remember multiple videos with Wes trying to convince Doc that he should read X-Men comics because Zeb Wells and Hellions was so good. But I digress. how things have changed. By the way, this isn't a knock against Wes. My point here is that, the writer 2 years ago who was a savior of all things X-Men is now the guy who is absolutely reaming the Spider-Man world. But isn't it funny how things go? All right, back to the mail. It says, I get it. People can hate this Zeb Wells run, and I actively tried to make this be my first jumping on story for Spider-Man, as I wanted to give the character a chance. Wells's run is so off-putting that I quit after the second arc, only to find out months later that what Peter did is a load of crap. I guess my concern is that I don't understand everyone's outrage. Okay, I'm curious where you're going here. Mary Jane and Peter Parker will be back together at some point. It's like Disney having a black actress as Little Mermaid. It's a fun experiment, but it's not where the money is at. I place money down that any new Spider-Man product outside of the comics will have Peter Parker and Mary Jane together. We just need to wait for the comic side to stop being high on their own farts and accept the fact that Peter and Mary Jane are like Reed and Sue Richards, inevitable. Thank you so much for providing insightful takes on things. Well, you're right. You're fucking right. Look, Peter Parker and Mary Jane are tied. She is the Lois and Clark. That's what it is. It absolutely is that. The comics are trying to fuck around because they are, whether it's high on their own farts, I don't know, but it's the Ryan Johnson subvert expectations effect of let's really torture the fans. The challenge is, if you put a gun, and I'm not advocating violence. I'll think of a different way to say it. If you hold the Tom Brevoort, Nick Lowe, Zeb Wells, whoever, Buckley, Cebulski, whoever you're talking to, if you hold their feet to the fire, still sounds like torture, they will tell you that Peter Parker is destined to wind up with Mary Jane. They will tell you that. They absolutely will. In their minds, they believe that. They believe that everybody believes Peter Parker and Mary Jane are going to stick together. Everybody believes this. Therefore, we're going to screw around with that idea as much as humanly possible in kind of the, I used this analogy the other day, the Friends, Ross, Rachel, will they, won't they? That is what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing. They're so confident that you are confident that they'll get back together. They are fucking around with the entire relationship, knowing that it's pulling at your heartstrings. This is a company that is so self-confident that they have you by the balls with this entire storyline that they're willing to screw around with it because it's a cheap, manipulative trick. And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what's going on. They believe that they can kind of con you and make you feel things by going, I know this is what you expect, and you're right. This is what's happening. It's in effect, what we're seeing right now is like a comic book, like a one-shot in the 70s or the 60s. The Superman comics that I really enjoyed, where Superman is a crazy prick just flying around doing stuff. And they have a comic like, in this issue, Lois Lane dies. And in this issue, Superman turns evil and burns Lois Lane alive with his heat vision. Now, damn well that in that comic, that's not going to happen. That they're going to tease like Superman's like, I am evil. And then he's like going to be a prick and pretend to burn Mary Jane, Lois Lane alive with his heat vision. That they're going to screw around with this stuff. But you also know that that's not how it's going to end up. Absolutely not. They're not. And that's what the Marvel Comics is doing right now with Peter and Mary Jane. They go, we know that Peter and Mary Jane are destined to be together. We know it. We know that's where it's going. Therefore, we are going to basically pretend that it's a con. This is a 1960s Silver Age. Superman is about to murder Jimmy Olsen by putting his fist up his ass. And and you're like, I wonder how Jimmy's going to get out of this one. That's what's going on right now. Marvel is, whether they're going to kill Mary Jane or not, or lose her to time, or she's going to turn into a man, or I don't know, who the hell knows what Marvel's going to do. This is the problem for Marvel. No one fucking believes that it's actually going to last. And if you pin these guys down, that sounds better. So this is all ridiculous. All of this is ridiculous. Every piece of this is just a big con. And we, the consumers, are suckers because we're going to buy into it. And again, Marvel will admit that they're screwing around with you. They will admit it. They will admit that they're trying to con you into buying these comics and all the rest. That's what's happening. So we could get to a solve here. We can go that, well, the right answer is stop buying Marvel comics. Sure. We can certainly go down that path if you want. But really, I think recognize the game that is being played here, which is what the letter writer did, which all of you should recognize. Peter Parker and Mary Jane are intrinsically linked, just like Clark Kent and Lois Lane. And even if one of these smug assholes get onto a stage at some Comic-Con and goes, I heard that Perch says, but nah, no way. No way, that's not what we're going to do. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It totally fucking is. We got 3 more movies here with Spider-Man out of Sony, at least. And these movies are going to be about the 2 of them getting back together. You don't think? Of course they are. So, in the grand scheme of things, hey, it's nice. It's nice that in the, I don't know, what is this, the 5th reboot, or I don't know, in whatever series of Spider-Man we're on right now, that know for totally sure this is going to be the one where nothing is ever the same again. Wink. Absolutely it will. The only people who believe this at this point is, nobody believes it. The sad part is, I think there's still people inside the publisher at Marvel that believe you believe it. There's still people there who think they're absolutely conning you. The dumbass part of all this is, if you want to make money, you do need to make fans happy at some point. Not all the time, but some of the time. And if you want to sell, I've said this in a different video, I'll say it again. Absolutely true. Hey, Spider-Man is selling, close to 100,000 copies. It's like 85,000 copies, 90. I think it's in a range. Oh, am I wrong? I don't know, Marvel. By all means, send me the numbers. That's the numbers I've gotten from you. Anyway, you're selling close to 100,000. Cool. How would you like to sell a 6-issue miniseries? 6 issues, 1 million copies apiece. 1 million. You could do it. I guarantee you could do it. How do you do it? You sell the restoration of Peter and Mary Jane's marriage. You give Todd McFarlane some money. I'm serious. I'm fucking serious. Give Todd McFarlane some money. Get a good writer on there. 6 issues. Peter undoes a deal with the devil. Gets back together with Mary Jane. Gets married. It's a huge happy ending fairy tale kind of thing. Disney, jizzes all over the screen because they love fairy tales, whatever. You do that, you sell 1 million copies, a book. I guarantee, in the direct market, I guarantee you'll do it. You polybag it, you put like a little wedding memorabilia shit in there, you do it. 6 issues, get, and I say Todd, you could do it with other artists too, but my God, if you did it with Todd McFarlane, you pay him a certain amount of money to kind of restore this thing. Todd would do it out of, for money for sure, but also out of some level of spite, just to fuck over the people who have dealt with that character over the last 20 years. I guarantee you. No, Dan Slott can't write it. You're going to have to give a Michelini or DeMatteis, or you have to do something else there, but do it. 6 million copies. Here's the thing. 6 million copies of this comic. You want to do the math? If you're selling 100,000, how many years? It's going to take you 6 years to sell what you could sell in 6 months. Just saying, you can do whatever you want, but that's what I would do. Anywho, thanks for listening.